Hello guys, welcome to the biggest video I'm probably gonna do for a while now. So in this video I'm gonna be overanalyzing the entire Bullock versus France game. And honestly, I know there's a lot of people already done this, but for me, I want to do my own thing. I want to go to this game with all the plot points established. This time we're going to look for every single detail without any interruptions. So for me, just overanalyze the entire thing and we see the points. So for me, I have my notes here to quickly show the things that already been established before in the plants game. For now, these are all the plot points that have been established. Number one, Bulldog Japan already riding high after their 4-0 thrashing, which as you can see is already evidence in the page I'm already showing. And yes, another thing is pressure is on Isagi as a number one, which I also showed here in Bulldog chapter. What's the exact chapter again? 329. So one thing is for sure, this is already the panel that shows this exact thing. The dude, that is basically pressure there. And yes, we also know that last chapter before this, Bulldog chapter 328, we knew that Nigeria already decided to change themselves after this. And then we have the God of Soccer thing going on, which was also, I think that was also last chapter as well. Actually, no. The Nigeria one was 2 chapters ago, but the Bulldog one was last chapter. So that one is just a clear and obvious thing that you should know. Another thing is that Hugo is that Loki has already come into this game in order to prove that he was not just born fast. And that was literally shown as well during their reactions to that game. And then of course Hugo is calling him unsuitable, side B is currently ongoing. All blockers are putting all their development through Isagi, which is pretty much shown here if you actually look at this specific panel, right? Yes, right here. Yes, this is the exact moment. So if we analyze this first panel before the France game, you should already know what was already gonna bound to happen. The thing is, since this was the point that I was talking about here, I did have another note that says everyone thought they could easily beat France, although Raichi beforehand say that we're the best country in the world. Yes, this was an overconfidence problem. I don't care what anybody says. This is what was actually, if you was implied there. You know what happened. See, this is the moment it started. The moment that Hiyori already talked about the fact that if they win their next match against France, Uraichi did states, or the number one in the entire world, then they have a chance to advance to the finals. But then, do you see what Chigiri said after this? Chigiri said, doesn't matter, we'll devour and defeat everybody. Yeah, that was number one clear rule that should have stated everybody that, yeah, they were going to lose this match. Then we have Corona as well saying, you gotta bet them we're gonna win, right? Another thing that was said, being best in the world is the only option. That's what Isagi Kun would say, right? Yeah, another thing I said, alright, they were totally becoming Isagi now. What are you making fun of me? Then, yeah, it's another thing. Yes, then again, once Shigiri say again, it goes to show how much everyone is looking up to you. Again, everybody's pressure is already on Isagi and they're relying on him. And then he doesn't mind giving the title the best awards to him. And of course, healthy mindset will block egoists. And then we have Rin. Rin, yes, of course, him being the Demon Lord as always, just keep interfering in his life. That was also clearly stated. And yeah, well, as of now, if we're ready to get into the Bullock game now, I think we should start getting ready for the next points that we're gonna start doing. Up next is the big one. I'm gonna indicate with this. We already know all the plot points. Now I'm gonna be showing all plot points, all details in the entire France game. Just notify all of that out and put it right here. We're gonna analyze the entire first half from beginning to end. And this one shouldn't be easy, so we'll just put an H on this. Just a quick hysteric should already tell everybody that, yeah, this is a game that we're analyzing, so no details are missed. And of course, in case you all forgot, Hugo and Board's first deal is still on, so that's another plot point that is established. Alright, let's get to the next chapter. And another problem. Our first minute of the game. Bullock played the first detail to know is that Bullock played the same formation they did against Nigeria. But you want to know the reason why? You want to know the context why this same formation they played against Nigeria? If anybody wants to know, that's the first official detail that you should note. They played the same thing against Nigeria. But now it's time to show you the exact context behind that. You know why they played the same formation? Simple. Due to the fact that if the formation worked against... Due to the one context, the formation worked against Nigeria. So they thought they would work against France too. So that's another thing to note. Due to the formation working against Nigeria, they thought they could play the same way again. So yeah, that one is just a notifiable detail there. Now up next is, how do I say this? Alright, so up next is everybody coming to this game. We'll just skip all these details. And yeah, quick thing to note. Since they are the thing is all attention is on Bullock Japan. That one is very much sure. And of course, they are calling with the top kings of the world, France. So we should already know this detail. Now more details being shown here. One is completely stated. Wait, let me be honest here. For now, these details are not really important, but the detail that is shown here is that they are called the golden generation. Another detail here is France are the golden generation of the whole of basically the U20 France team is the golden generation of this whole France team. So yeah, that was a good thing to know about. And of course, they are the reigning world champions. So yeah, pretty much. Reigning world champions. And yeah. Up next is minimize again. And of course, another detail that was there is that Charles actually thought he was going to play Shidu. One thing is for sure, Charles thought he was going to play Shidu. Another thing to know about. Charles notices that Shidu is not playing, which will be a problem later on. This is the most important detail that everybody should at least know about. And of course, yes, this is how you know this thing was very much obvious. Now another problem. Another problem is known that whoever wins will get as close as possible to the finals. So yes, this is a big matchup. This is one of the biggest matchups of all time. So yeah. Alright. Let's get ready for the kickoff. And of course, first detail to know, Hugo is actually low-key passed the ball to Hugo. And then they strike first. The moment Hugo tells Zoom, they all go first. Meaning one thing, none of them were prepared for this. The entire Bullock team was not prepared for this whatsoever. So first thing to note is that Hugo gets past Isagi and Rin by himself. Then next thing you know, there were so many damn shots to protect. I mean, this whole thing was not planned out whatsoever by them to actually get used to it. Then of course Hugo gets the pass to Loki. Meaning one thing, positioning and timing was literally just on. It was literally unmatched. They cannot get used to this. Then the main problem, all the three defenders went straight for Loki. An issue that they should have not gone for. Then after that, the contrarian, Charles, gets the ball, meaning one thing. Loki uses himself as a decoy. And you know what happens next. Yeah, France scored the first goal. So, one detail to note. France scored the first goal because of three reasons. Scored the first goal in the first chapter of the entire match. And now we're going to tell you all the context behind why. Number one, how do I say this? Loki uses himself as a decoy. That's another thing. To drag out all the defenders to focus on him. Which was pretty much planned. So just quickly knowing that out. Dry out all, let me see, dry out both Aiku, Nico, and Ryu. So yes. Basically one thing, Loki and Charles basically just did that thing for that goal specifically. Then of course, Hugo dominated the whole attack. I mean, it was orchestrated from the very start. 3, Blue Lock did not have a plan for this. Let's be honest, Blue Lock had no plan for this whatsoever. So obviously, yeah, that was the whole problem that from to begin with. But anyways, let's get ready for next chapter and yes. Anyway, chapter 331. So yeah, this one is 321 logic, and we should know that's they literally just fell for it. The whole thing was not even in the data to begin with. And yeah, Loki glazed again. Loki was already getting glazed the moment we saw this. That should tell you something. If Loki is getting glazed due to the whole attack, it means this was literally not just Hugo's plan. It was Loki. It honestly should show you what level of play Loki's doing here. Mind you, he scored a goal. He literally was involved with the play. Like, let's be honest, Kasu is literally just saying right now, you can explain this thing logically, that the goal won't have been possible without the incredible skill and talents. Which is true, because if anything, if everybody wasn't so focused on Loki, Charles was not going that goal. Let's be honest to ourselves. If Loki wasn't the main threat that was literally causing problems for everybody, Charles was not going that goal by a long shot. And of course, we should already know that we're going to look at the whole conversation here. Rio was level-headed here, which is a good thing. And of course, everybody is playing their shit out the way you do it. And then of course, we have the fact that they still have their plans that they haven't done used to it. And then of course, they continue to rely on Isagi. But then that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So up next is the counter attack that they made. They get past Loki. Okay, now this is a detail that you all should note. Notice how they only got past Loki through a 1-2 pass. They got past Loki through a 1-2 pass here. First detail shown here. I'm gonna put a counter here. Loki was gone through by a 1-2 pass or double teams. Basically, I'm just gonna notice the fact that there's a counter that I'll be putting here every time. Loki was gone through by a 1-2 pass. Front out the counter is 1. Keep that in mind. Okay, keep this in mind because it's gonna be necessary. Then, of course, the first match, they already planned for this. The whole first team already planned out to beat both Rin and Isagi through this thing. And of course, we have Rin planning out the whole game. And in this case, he was able to pass the ball to Chigiri, who then gets across. Who then passes it to Rio. And yes, Rio uses his copy to actually... He uses Kunigami's copy to then pass to Isagi. Which, of course, Hugo stops him. Notice one fact. Notice one detail here. Hugo used a plan to stop a possible 2-gun volley. Which means he basically, found logic to beat him. And which is all shown through this panel in here. So, another thing to note... how do I say this? Hugo has found a plan to stop how do I say this? To stop Isagi's 2-on volley and possibly the reversal shot. The reversal shot against Nigeria. So that's a good thing to note. They found a plan to stop that thing. That's just a good thing to note here. And of course, minimize this again. And that's the thing. They blocked not just everybody, they blocked Rin, they blocked Karasu, meaning one thing. And then Isagi still keeps the ball to himself. So, besides goes the risk is all to be number 1. But then Hugo tells him, mentally, Hugo is a problem for this guy. And of course, he got the ball stolen from him. Alright, next chapter, everybody. Then the suitable destiny theory. We finally got the next chapter. So yeah, this is basically the suitable destiny theory that he wants to show. And once again, Hugo gets to pass through Rin and Kasu. But of course, Nico, mind you, first things first. This is not low-key downskill here. You know why I say this? This was Hugo. No one was able to even get past Hugo's type of passing. And Loki already positioned himself to actually get the ball. But one thing, only Nico so far has actually been able to get at least stop a pass through Loki. Mind you, so far only Nico has shown a way to at least intercept the pass. Mind you, that is mostly a Nico upscale, by the way, not a Loki downscale. You can at least not downscale Loki at this point, so I honestly, let's be honest, it's not a downscale for him, okay? I don't care what anybody says. So this one is intercept the pass to Loki. All our details announced again. So yeah, basically what he figured out was that he was already stolen from Isagi, so they were already looking to be a dangerous shot. Sorry, there was a dangerous shot. Dangerous spots, okay? Dangerous spots. So due to Nico now intercepting the ball, they've already switched their strategy. I mean, if their opponent has found a way to keep Isagi from shooting, they can change their patterns, which you should note. So yeah, in this case, Bullock has now changed their patterns. Bullock has changed their patterns. Told you, all details will be necessary. I am also giving context too, because yes, even I too have played the sport before. So yeah, football context is also necessary here. So after switching out the design, another thing to know is Bachia has gone past one person this entire game so far. And then of course, when he came to game past Cabas once, he only got past him once. But I'll tell you one thing, Cabas has never stolen the ball from him. He only studied his style, but he never figured out how to steal the ball, okay? One thing to note here, Bachia is one of my favorite people. But I also know when he technically, in this game, he didn't really do much, but concerning here, I actually think he did fine. Gotcha got one dribble, but still got a shot off. Still got a pass. Pass to Chigiri. Yeah, basically that's all I'm saying. He just got by. He only. Despite being man marked. Okay, despite being man marked by. How do I say this? Despite being man marked by. Camus. So yeah, that's a notifiable thing to note here. So after passes to Chigiri, who then uses speed, Layden now catches up to him, which has never been happening before. Honestly, this is Layden upskill, by the way. No one expected anybody to actually catch up to Chigiri of all people. I mean, one thing, all their tricks have been logically predicted. Good detail to note, all their tricks have been predicted. All their tricks have been logically predicted easily. Oops, sorry, change that. And then, of course, Hugo comes to the game again. So yeah, another thing, mentally, Hugo's cooking Isagi right now. Hugo is cooking Isagi. Isagi right now is suitable destiny philosophy. Suitable destiny philosophy. So another thing to note again, the details are necessary, and I mean it, all context and details are necessary. And I'm honestly just gonna cut the app from Hugo because I already analyzed this whole thing. I kind of just don't want to talk about him right now. But anyways, he says someone without altitude can never defeat someone who has it. Doesn't mean don't dream. It means don't dream beyond yourself. So yeah, basically, what he's trying to say is that it's better to just live it naturally. If everyone lives according to your suitability, no one will be happier and more efficient. That's basically his whole philosophy. That's what he's just telling him. And then, of course, we should already know one thing. Isagi already knows he doesn't have the specs to be a striker. And he knows the most. So, another thing to note, Isagi already knows that his specs are more suitable for midfield. Detail found. And then, of course, you should already know Blue has actually taught him that he can rewrite destiny with their own ego, which is a good thing. Now we have Loki versus Rin, which is a good matchup, by the way. So yeah, So yeah, we're gonna analyze this whole matchup. Of course, we can notice one thing. Rin is at least the only person who was able to clip him. Rin is still the only person who has been able to clip Loki. However, it doesn't mean that Loki's terrible. It just means he can easily still catch up. He's liking the matchup. Then, of course, Rin is trying to take his crash shots opportunity and basically come in the way. And of course, it basically stops Hugo. It gets Hugo to stop Rin here. No, I would have said a crash shot here, but then it's not really crash shot in this case. If anything, it wasn't even in destroy mode. But all I know is that both Loki and Hugo actually figured out a way to stop it. Figured out a way to stop Renitoshi here. Renitoshi's shooting style. That's all I can say. That's literally all I can say. I was gonna say crash shot, but then I changed my mind. I think looking back at the game, I don't think it's that much of an upskill, but it's just more of his range. It was an easily predictable shot. That's all I can say. And of course, by the way, when Isagi says that they have the right guys in the right place and they're performing at 100%, it means technically what it's trying to say is that they're not performing at 100% of their opportunity. In this case, they're not performing at 100%, but they're performing at 100% to their positions. That's what they're basically the best of their suitability. That's all I can say. That's literally all I can say. Loki, this one is kind of a whole debacle thing, but they weren't performing truly at 100%, but just at 100% of their whole abilities. So in terms of positioning, and in terms of logical, rational positioning, reminds me of Noah anyway. But anyways, we know one thing. This I would not look. There's one thing that Hugo sees. This is one thing that we should note. Hugo does actually give Ego props that he's exceptional for pulling off this experiment. However, what he's saying here, time 66, environment 33 and lock 1%. But then he's using the downscale blue lock. All he's saying is that team is scraped by on the 1% that Isagi Oichi pulls off. Which basically is just downscaling here. So one thing to know is Hugo is actually downscaling Isagi and Bullock's lock here. In Bullock's luck of 1% through the metric. Through the metric that he's given for them. Which will be important to the future. It will be important to the next future chapters we're going to. That was one thing to note. This is due to suitability. He only underestimates Bullock. And what he's thinking is that if they prevent that lock from occurring, that's the optimal way to crush Bullock. And then when he says that he's irritated yapping, basically just proved to hit the mark. And of course, he was kind of right here. They are logically dependent on Isagi Oichi. Hugo's hitting it on the mark. Whilst also calling out Isagi. Calling out Isagi on his BS. Let's say while calling out Isagi on his dependency. Everybody's basically overlying on Isagi. That's all I can say. So yeah, he kinda knew about that. And of course Loki glaze again. We'll leave that one for now. This one is pretty much fine because I and Loki will just want to leave Loki here. Anyway. And then, of course, he's trying to fall into Force's path. Now the corner kick. Let's go analyze the corner kick. So, first thing to know, he keeps telling you to keep relying on the number one. Now, another analysis of Bachelor's performance. Once again, he did a fake. He faked everybody thinking he's going to do a cross, but then he passed it to Hiyori, which is a good idea. Now they're using Hiyori to his advantage. He used Loki. Then, of course, this. Yes, Loki got clipped by Hiyori. And once again, the counter has been increased. You heard me right, the counter has been increased. This is the second time now Loki has been being through double teams. Specifically either through passing or through basically 1-2 passing. That's all I can say. Again, my counter is increased. Loki has only been beaten through double teams twice. Again, as basically Bullock has figured out a way to beat that. Through Hiyori and Baccia, which is good. Then, of course, Baccia had a clear goal scoring opportunity, by the way. Baccia had a very clear goal scoring opportunity in this moment. Baccia had a very high chance to score. Against France. Which everybody should note. Baccia had a high chance of scoring. But he faked the team. Again, he faked the entire team at that moment. Then, of course, more thing to know for Rio, he actually was close to losing to Hugo, but he still got a shot. He got a fake pass shot off him. So obviously gets to Isagi. Then of course got beat by Charles here, we already know. Basically they keep a close watch because they go for the most annoying spot, which is where Isagi is. And now a notifiable opportunity here. Due to all the things Isagi is looking at here, he basically just flopped the pass that was given to him by Baccia, which was obviously the problem here. So yes, Isagi basically just flopped the shot. But however, due to Charles being a problem, due to Charles forcing him to take with his left, and not bowing down to, not bowing down to Hugo here. Hugo's philosophy. And then, of course, this whole thing was a problem. And, of course, the awakening of Kasu. Big detail, awakening of Kasu as a number 2 will be the biggest detail necessary. Awakening of Kasu as a number 2. Which obviously will get a goal. We should obviously know that one. So I'm just going to skip the entirety of Hiyori's chapter here. I'm not lying. I honestly already know the whole goal since I read the whole chapter anyway. So, Awakening of Casa is number 2, which obviously gets a goal. However, it doesn't mean I will not analyze it. Chapter 335. So yeah, we have... Oh yeah, more analysis on Loki here. So of course, a real long throw to Loki. The fact they already anticipated. And then, of course, Ari suggested to switch up their tactics. Another thing to know is Ari has to switch up their tactics here. Ari asking Ego to switch up their tactics, which will be necessary. Then, of course, Loki getting past... Okay, I want to notify the people that Loki got past. He got past Shiori, he got past Isagi, and of course, when Chigiri comes in, he's still going. Both of them are still going while he's still holding it back. Loki is very good at holding out the ball, whilst also keeping up with everybody by himself. And then, of course, Loki did not expect Kasu to come in. Honestly, this is not down scale for Loki. It was actually a good plan for Kasu to use Chigiri's holding him to his advantage. So yeah, that was a good one. Basically a good tactic. Kasu stopping Loki through Chigiri. And then, of course, my double team counter is also still increasing again. I told you the double team counter is necessary, so now it's 3. It's officially 3. Now we have the dribble that was used by Kasu. Honestly, I already know Kasu is gonna be MVP. Then basically, the live at second best was a problem here. We should already know he's trying everything in his power to try and live as the number 1, but then, yeah, it was not working here. And of course, Kasu awakening for Blue Lock's sake. This detail will be important. For Blue Lock's sake is the most important thing in this conversation. He beats Bats. Then uses everybody for his opportunity. Then of course passes to Hiyori. You know what happens next after that? Hiyori goes straight to the wall, face these people. Then of course trusts Hiyori again. Then after that uses the path to victory after self-sacrificing himself. You heard me right, self-sacrifice, the most important thing right here. Then of course they get the goal. Analysis of the goal, that was the most important thing. And of course, let me see. Kasu's goal, basically. Kasu x Hiyori's goal. Hiyori goal validates Hugo's suitable destiny theory. Philosophy here. For now. Again, necessary at the point, because I said I was going to overanalyze the whole game. I told you I'm not going to see any marks here. And one more thing, it is not like second best. Blue holds its own against France. Another problem. Now we have Rin again. You know, if anybody has noticed, Rin has done something in this game in terms of just passing, but then like completely, if we're looking at his game, it wasn't really, he has only got a shot blocked so far. But right now, he hasn't done anything. Now, Isagi. Now, of course, they also have another thing. Ego's reaction to the goal. He didn't expect this at all. He had no desire for the chemical reaction whatsoever. Now, the thing. Ego had no desire for this specific chemical reaction. Now, they have caught up. Now, I ask him what to believe in. And then, of course, there's the debacle between Isagi and Kasu. He asked if he is throwing away his life as a striker, which was obviously the thing. Dude knows the fact that he did say, if you want to talk about life as a striker, then what about Gakamaru playing goalie or the guys playing defense? Strikers. Now, one thing to note here. Concerning Ego's philosophy, a big issue that needs to be addressed is that Ego is not addressing the fact that everybody just goes to play as a striker and just strike their own goals. That was not what he meant. He meant push past your own limits, despite the position you're playing. That's literally just what I mean here. But then, of course, big issue here is that Kasu is misinterpreting one. Basically, misinterpreting his Ego's philosophy as concerning the goalkeepers. Concerning the goalkeepers and defenders. Basically, strive for something that you want to go forward in. But anyway, of course, he is trying to change for Blue Lock's sake. Then the Blue Lock's sake part again, another detail that was used. It is all they were able to be the world's best striker. And then, of course, he's saying he's deviated from that, which is a problem. Then, of course, he hasn't scored a goal, which is also notifiable, true. And then, of course, he's trying to add the wheels like the number 1, and he's trying to run. But then, of course, he's ruining Bullock with the way he's playing right now. And then he also says, thinking about Bullock too. You know, it's hard for Bullock. But then another issue, both of them have the same mindsets. Both Isagi and Kasu are in their own debacle. The thing is, Kasu became a number 2 for Bullock, while Isagi became a number 1 for Bullock as well. Issue here. Meaning one thing, Isagi and Kasu were both deviating from the same issue. Isagi and Kasu were both deviating. deviating from Ego's philosophy. Not that I told you all to know this in here. I have my notes in case anybody doesn't have any solution here. If you think I'm lying, I literally have all my notes here. So anybody needs this. And then of course there's the balance. You're trying to find a new shape for Blue to win. Why is Jaiko's not done anything this whole game? All he has done is at least stop a Kasu and Isagi debate again. And then of course, we have another Loki matchup. Gonna analyze Loki's game again. They're trying to do the Bullock strategy for now. They're basically selling the strategy, but they still not found a fundamental issue. And then of course Hugo comes in again. Now chapter 338. Still necessary. There's the double jokers, which is planned. Now Loki uses his opportunity to not just get past Rin, he basically got passed off him to Hugo, which is necessary. Mind you, 1v1s are not all the metrics we're going to use to analyze Loki's game. There's more than that. The pressure that he's pulling on every single player, not just as a teammate, but as a striker. I mean, one thing, he's already done his job helping as a decoy to stop Block's defense. So also, one thing is, Loki's game was actually good here. Then of course, Hugo gets past Isagi, and of course it's telling him what the philosophy actually means. What he means is that, basically, why is everyone so ignorant of themselves? What drives him crazy is the fact that people are so misaligned, or basically not fitting the self-image that he wants. He's trying to correct all their mechanisms. Basically, you will kind of tell everybody what your actual philosophy is, or where to go, where to stay, basically. And then, of course, both him and Isagi are like trying. They're almost the same in a sense, but then, like, they're kind of different in their own ways. Basically, once people making their own destinies change, which actually did come true. This is the most important thing. Once people meet Hugo, people will change. And then, of course, we also know Loki's dream. Important detail. Hugo's dream is to win the World Cup. It's to be humanity's legend. And win the World Cup 4 times. Yes, that is another thing to note here. And also, by the way, Charles actually assisted his goal. I don't care what anybody says. Charles assisted Isagi. Charles assisted Hugo's goal. Like, you will not count the pass, but he actually did score here. Thanks to Hugo's pass. Thanks to Charles getting the pass from Hugo. And using it as an opportunity to score by himself. And even coming in more to also become another decoy again. Once again, both Charles and Hugo. And Hugo once again uses Charles and Loki as decoys. So yeah, I went as far as I want to go. I need to analyze the whole thing from beginning to the end. What? Nothing is getting left behind. And then of course he scores the goal from here. That was going to the middle, but he didn't expect it. Ball was moving the way, but then he didn't actually time this near right. The shot course. It was the only problem is Gakamaru couldn't get the whole ball. I honestly blame the defenders for still going and falling for Hugo's bait again. Mind you, this is 2 times in a row that both Blue Lock have been scored on due to baits. They've been betting that Loki was going to score. Instead, Charles scored. Now Hugo has the ball and he, again, thinking they were going to pass. Instead, he shot the ball by himself. Which was another thing. That's the thing. Gakamaru has been beaten twice, not getting a save on once. So another detail to note, Gakamaru has been beaten twice without any saves by by Francis, how do I say this? Quick time attacks through baiting. They're literally good at using baits. What France actually has been good at is that they're good at baiting the entire defense. And then, of course, the double jokers. And now is the end of halftime. Now we're in halftime. Halftime, and one thing to know, double jokers come on. Everybody should know this. Double jokers, Bara and Shido are on with Kunigami as well. So that's another thing to know. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave the halftime one because everybody kind of already knows this. First half is over. They're still trying to think that maybe they should like switch things up a little bit. And then of course, the fact that Karasu wants to take over the team as the team's second best. Which of course, yes, it's time to know the detail here. One more detail that is noted here. See, what it is, Ego did applaud Karasu's quit with a change. The problem was the mindsets. And he said that those who fight for the team are totally useless. Which honestly, thinking back, I don't think this is actually useless. Look, I'm an egoist, but I also think that the team is still necessary. It is. If every soccer player trying to play with their own suitability, in the end, it's just going to be competition of physical ability and tactics. He's not wrong here. Ego is not wrong about whatever he's saying here. Ego is not wrong about the fact that if everyone plays to their suitability, it will basically be a competition. A competition of physical abilities. Physical abilities and tactics. Honestly, he's not wrong here. And also, France is also another thing. He's also not wrong about the fact that they have a diversity of talents. In fact, he's not wrong. They have a diversity of talents. Diversity of talents as well. And the fact that how do I say this? The fact that suitability works easily for them. Easily for France. Which is another thing to note. So honestly, Ego is not wrong about any of this. Ego has not been wrong about all of this. In fact, if anything, he notifies the fact that Block will, if they continue to be suitable, they will still be weak. Like, whether you like it or not, they will still be the weakest people of all time. In fact, going beyond suitability is actually the whole heart of Block. In fact, how many times could you become the world's best striker? I told you, only one time. You live for that one chance, and that's the point. And then, of course, Bullock is also going to change their philosophy, their tactics as well. So, we should all know this. Now, another thing, Hugo reads blank books. Another detail to note, we already know Hugo reads blank books. Blank books for his own thinking. So yeah, another detail to note, when Loki said this, he said he should give him more grind breaking passes. He said he should give him some nasty passes. That's just all he asks. I say it's okay, Loki. I doubt this match red light. You see, Block has also chosen that destiny. And then of course the member change is obvious. And now Isagi's fired up. Another detail to note. There are some details I know, but I always need to write it all out. Up next is chapter 340. No God Part 1. We have both Shido. Now I can finally put more details. Another good detail to note, Shido is playing extremely well with the team. Through his passing. His passes and gameplay. I said that because I already watched the whole match, because I already seen the whole thing. Loki is doing well. Both Loki and Rio are doing well by themselves because yeah, it's a good thing to know that Shido is doing fine as well. Now, of course, they switch their attacking up. Then bait it to have Visagi coming in behind. Then, of course, the counter is back again. So how many times is this now? 4. This is 4 times that they're beating Loki through double teams. Only 4 times so far. Guys, it's necessary. But in this case, Loki is starting figuring out a way to beat double teams now. Then, of course, passes to Loki again. Then he passes past Loki. It's 5 times. This is 5 times. Just because they got the ball past Loki, they've only gone through double teams. Context still matters, though. Then, now Baru goes past Gavin and Hermes. But, of course, gets stopped by Hugo. Then, afterwards, they decide to switch up. And, again, he still does another pass. Now he gives it to Layden. You know what happens between Layden? Layden is also doing good. Layden also played well this game. Also, is a good player this game. I'm not gonna lie. Layden is doing fine. He was able to get past Shigiri and gets past Isagi. Now this is where the issue matters. The issue is that they did not plan for other fast players as well. And then of course a shot like pass to Loki. Loki was very close to scoring this, by the way. A shot like pass that was very close to scoring. And then, of course, he didn't capitalize on this opportunity. Yep, I'll say it again. Loki in the first time was not that bad, let's be honest. Loki was applying pressure on the entire defense by himself. Both pressing and also doing things whenever he needed to. So basically, he was working as a team player. And whenever he wants to get his goals, you get it. Which I'm fine with that. Now, a choice for the future. In this game, Kunigami is not playing as a striker, he's playing as a defender with his... Kunigami is not playing as a defender. Actually, no, as a defensive tank. That's what I was meant to say. Told you, it's pretty much necessary. Since he's playing as a defensive midfielder, it makes sense why he's there. Now, Ari is finally going to touch the ball. Finally. Then makes the pass. Which now the new difference here is Isagi is a subsystem. Is a subsystem. And Karasu is the main system. Meaning one thing, Isagi's no longer in the limelight. If I anything, I think Isagi's made some good passes. Done some as well with Rin. But still it's not going to goal. It's only been Kasu's system that has gone to goal so far. Then of course they have the fact that Isagi has still not visually found a way to beat Loki yet. Sorry, to beat Hugo yet. And now he has to find a new theory to actually surpass him. Now the reference that I did say, you know the dream that was necessary? This still matters in this context. Because he's been doing what Hugo described him and trying to be suitable for the team's victory. However, that's not what Ego wants for him. You heard me right. You said that's not what Ego wants. Now he's trying to go for his own goals. He's literally trying to live up for what Ego wants him to do. Which is also another problem here in his way of thinking. And then, of course, it causes Baru to go and devour someone else. And you know what happens next. And Kasu, another thing for him. Big detail. Kasu is actually... not like thinking a little bit. Kasu's insecurities are kind of being shown here. One thing you know is Kasu's insecurities are being shown by Hugo's philosophy. And also the fact that he too got left in the dust. Got left in the dust by Isagi's growth. And raw dog in him. Now after this, I basically already knew that whole thing. Then he switches up, gets his own pass. Now he decides to use Shido. And yes, more details on Shido. The demon on the pitch is about to be unleashed. Then we see him get past 2 players on his own. He was able to get past Kawas and he was get past the other guy, which I also don't know. Then switches up again, uses the thing that Isagi has not been able to use for a while. Then, of course, he's basically using positioning to his advantage. Loki also comes in, makes a 50-50 chance. But then Baru comes to steal and then we get a goal. Yep, Baru was officially declared. Baru devours Shido to score a goal. Now it's 2-2, officially. And also, even though Loki didn't stop Shido, it was a 50-50 chance. And honestly, anything could have worked. Honestly, that was close to being Shido's own goal right there. But honestly, that's fine. And then, of course, we already know the celebrations, the whole double jokers. And now another detail. Bullock is going to Kasu's favor. So now we're at 2-2, and now it's time for the switch up. Both Loki and Hugo are finally going to switch their games up. Now it's finally obvious. Another detail that was obvious. Loki and Hugo were literally not like playing that. How do I say this? So yeah, Loki and Hugo didn't show off yet. I mean, they were still holding back. This entire game they were still holding back. And of course, we already know. We're gonna skip the whole Hugo's backstory because Loki, I honestly don't like this guy, let's be honest. I'll skip the Hugo's backstory. Right now, he's good at understanding all these things, but then of course, skip Hugo's backstory. And then of course, in the middle of a backstory, this time, Loki's going back while Hugo goes forward. You know what the plan is. Hugo uses everybody to his advantage. He basically calls it a loophole dribble. Even gets past Kunigami, afterwards uses Loki's speed to make warp synchronity. What is it? Then of course keep accelerating. By the way. Hugo basically said it only has 3 miles per hour with a backspeed pass at 20 feet per second. That is a suitability to be the world's best. Join Loki's top is a sort of rarity that comes once in 50 years. And then of course Loki scores. Yep, Loki scored a goal. That's right, Loki gets a goal. Loki goal finally. As a result of warp synchronity. Warp synchronity. Alright, so that's a good one. Loki finally got a goal, and yes, even though Loki hasn't touched the ball that much this game, off the ball he's actually been good. I don't care what anybody says. Loki off the ball has been doing fine. Now he's done fine. And yeah, again, Aiko and Kakabaru can not get through this guy. They cannot get through Loki. And now Otoya has been subbed on. Otoya has been subbed on for the chemical reaction. For the Kasu system. Yep. That's right, the Kasu system is currently good. At the moment, we count Otoya in. Meanwhile, the Rio gets subbed out. And with this, Isagi has finally figured out the solution. Isagi has figured out a way to actually surpass Hugo. Isagi has finally figured out the whole thing. And yes, he has found the unsuitable problem. Isagi has finally found a solution. Has finally found a new solution. Play as a rebel. The rebel suitability. Now the restarts. So, another detail to note, Hiyori and Kasu do their thing. Then he makes use of Otoya, who dribbles past someone by he makes use of one successful dribble, then makes a good shot, but then of course steals the ball, which is a good thing to note. Then of course Isagi steals the ball. And you know what happens after that? Yep, the rebel suitability has been. Yep, also suitability. He has figured out his own suitability. Play as a rebel. Not neither number 1 or number 2. And that suitability is gonna work out in his favor. Let's go. Then of course there's the true ending, which is him getting past Hugo. Now he now makes use of the castle system. Very important, very important. He makes use of the castle system. On the castle system to his advantage. To his advantage for his own goal. Now I'm gonna we're getting to the final moments of the game now, so let's just keep going. We now have him using castle system to his advantage. Then gets the ball past Hugo and Charles. After doing that. And of course, Rain's destroy mode is also being awakened little. Rain's destroyer mode has shown up due to abandonment. This will be important later in the final chapters. Then making the cost system, and of course my pacing issue, but let's leave that one. Now 100% suitability is going to be something. Otoya also making use of good passes. Making use of good passes as well. Everybody doing their own thing. Doing their own direction. Then of course they're gonna try the same thing again, but at a longer range. You heard me right. At a longer. Now Carson wants to use the longer range, but then of course they stop Baru and Shidu using Charles and Hugo, and now Loki is going past the ball again. Honestly, Loki is doing a lot better than I told you. Loki is doing good. In fact, Loki, they're all playing this thing. Now is the time for you to pass to Isagi. 346.1.2. Then of course, the pass has now been made. A curved pass past Loki. Yep, that was the only time I can say a 1v1 case he was able to get a pass off him. If anybody's able to get past Loki, that's an up skill for them. That's an up skill for Hiyori, not a down skill for Loki. Told you, nobody should down skill Loki for not having this. Then Hugo comes in. Okay, now this one will be very important because I want people to see this thing. I want people to reanalyze this game again. What? Even though the time to cost system was just our way everyone is here scoring goal, or is it that you're going to make a pass for your team and lead that to Oceano pass? Show me Isagi, I'll show you to destiny. Now in a battle of luck. Now we can finally read the whole chapter at once. It's not your those dumbass. Why want to crush you in battle of luck? Now what was actually decided is that he wants to beat him in battle of luck. That's right. Remember that luck case that happened? You know the luck down skill that Hugo was using to down skill these people? Well, yeah, he's gonna use it again. But this time to his advantage. Now, what will he do? What will he use? This time, since Hugo actually respects what he wants to do, I actually take Hugo respecting his duel of luck as a good thing. Let's be honest, he's not a down skill. He's not even a nerf here. This is not a nerf whatsoever. I need people to see this thing again. This is not luck. Using luck to his advantage is not a down skill for Hugo here. Then of course, you know what he thought he was gonna do? He thought he was gonna redo the reversal shots, which was predictable. That was the predictable outcome. But Isagi did the unpredictable outcome, which is actually here. He instead went left instead of right. He did not plan for this. He was so focused on his own suitability, he actually did not plan for, let's be honest, he did not plan for Isagi to go the other way. He did not expect him to go this way. Then, of course, the switch up. Ring comes the other way, and then, of course, the goal was... Yeah, we already know what happens next. So, yeah, one thing to note. Hugo is not nerfed. I'll say it again. Hugo isn't nerfed. He was actually going. He accepted the log battle. He accepted the log battle, which of course he lost. The log battle and lost. It lost due to Isagi. Let's be honest. Due to Isagi actually like switching up the timing of his reversal shot. He did plan for the reversal shot, but he did not plan for Isagi to do the other version of it. Like they can stop everything else, but he not plan to actually stop this. Which of course will be very important because eventually, yeah, they sold. Yep, they sold, and Loki drew past 11 people. I'm just gonna put this one as one thing. Rin sold, obviously. I don't care what anybody says. Rin sold by coming in Isagi's way. Loki completely annihilates the entire team. I don't care what anybody says. Completely annihilates Bullock. And yes. Game ends 4-2. 4-2, and yeah. Isagi has actually found a flaw in Hugo's philosophy. Another thing to note here is, while I skip past this whole thing, another thing to note is that despite Isagi actually finding a flaw, he found a flaw in Hugo's philosophy and also Ego's philosophy as well. So that was another thing to note. He did actually beat him here. I don't care what anybody says. These are the cool details that you should note. Isagi did actually find a flaw in both Hugo's philosophy and Ego's philosophy. That's a good thing to note. If your own striker can find a flaw in both philosophies, noticing the fact that they both lost, that is an actual good thing. I don't care what anybody says. Hugo's quote-unquote nerf was not a nerf. He did not get nerfed here. I don't care what anybody says. Well, yeah, I caught up, and that's the whole my analysis of the game. If anybody didn't get what I was saying, that's pretty much fine, but I will share these notes when I'm releasing the video, so just quick notes of clarification. That's just all you need to know. Thank you all for watching. These are all the details that you just need to know, and for me, what I would say is that's a Rin streak is ended too. Rin streak has finally ended. Hugo's plays are kind of being overrated. I'm not gonna lie, Hugo's plays are kind of being overrated by some people. Like, honestly, people are kind of overrating Hugo too much. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think we need to stop overrating Hugo. Like, honestly, you're not that bad. If anything, Hugo's philosophy is kind of meh. Even his plays are kind of meh. Honestly, Hugo's plays and philosophy itself is kind of overrated. I'll still say it again. Hugo cannot account for everybody. So honestly, that's why I'm not going to agree with this. Hugo's philosophy cannot account for absolutely everything. And that's the basis I stand on. Y'all can fight me in the comments, but I don't care. I stand on that philosophy. Anyways, goodbye and good night. Ego